I just don't know what to expect at this point. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with episode 9 of Jormungand. And yeah, like the cold open says, I'm not sure what to expect going forward, because it's like this show, I believe I said it last time, it's arc based. Like there are arcs, but the arcs are almost isolated. And it's like, yeah, certain things connect, certain things carry over. The American government's interference and stuff is carrying over between the different stories and everything. But most everything is just kind of its own thing. Like every arc, it's like outside of like the few things that carry over, it's like, oh, this is just a completely separate case, it's a completely separate situation. And it's like, what do we do with that? Because that means you never know what's going to happen next. It's like even in a lot of like long running shonen like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, just to name the big three. The arcs tend to kind of like lead into each other in some way, or even when an arc starts on something completely new after the end of the last one, it builds into it and expresses like, okay, so this is where this arc is going to go, what it's going to be about. With this, it's like the arcs are like 1 to 3 episodes long, basically. So it's like you don't really get time to build that up. It just thrusts you into the arc without a lot of warning. And then it's like it's just done and it's a completely different story after that. And there's some positives to that, but there's also some negatives. And my biggest issue is that I feel like there's not enough going on that makes some of these like reveals and big character moments and like enemies really feel like they matter. Even if they are going to come back, it almost doesn't feel like they are. Like the one businessman, the Chinese businessman, I can't remember his name right now. But like there's this entire thing where, okay, we defeat them, Karen swears she's going to come back and get revenge. And it's like he just kind of throws a fit after he's away from them, and it's like the way it's handled, the way it's written, the way it's presented, it makes it feel like, okay, they defeated him. It's over. It's done. It doesn't feel like it's going to need to come back. Even despite the fact that, like, Karen specifically said that they were going to come back and get them. And despite the fact that, he wants revenge on them too. It's like, it's basically, it's telling us that they're going to be back, but not really showing us, if that makes any kind of sense. I'm trying to get these thoughts across and try to make, any semblance of sense that you can understand, but I don't know if I'm getting that across well. I never do. But yeah, each story seems almost entirely separate from the rest. Again, there's some carried over characters here and there, like the Americans and everyone. But outside of that, it's like it feels like a series of vignettes, a series of stories centered around these characters, but not like actually interconnected. And that's my biggest issue. But a positive that comes from this style of doing it is that they don't really have to dedicate themselves to a major, like, ongoing narrative. They're allowed to explore ideas a little better and go through a bunch of different ideas because of it. Which there is definitely a positive to that. But it's starting, if I'm being honest here, it's starting to wear thin on me. And I know we're coming up on the end of the season. There's like 13 episodes, which means there's like 4 left after this. It's just, I'm I'm at the point where it's like I'm starting to kind of grow tired of it. Because there's certain aspects of this show I love. Like, Coco is great. She's a fantastic character, super likable, super adorable. You have Valmet, who is hot as fuck and really funny and adorable as well. You have the mysteries surrounding certain characters. You have just kind of the development and growth of, like, Yona in here. And plus, just certain other side characters that appear are really fun too. But sometimes it feels like they don't even amount to anything. Like the one scientist girl who's obsessed with the butterflies and all. It's like, what was the point of bringing her in? She never even met with Coco. Nothing really ever came of that. I don't know. I'm just disappointed. I feel. Because the series has a lot going for it, and it really hooked me in at the beginning. But the further I watch, it's starting to drag. And I'll be honest, I'm starting to feel not burnout, but I'm starting to find myself disinterested. Because it's like it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And as much as the positives do entice me, they can't hold my interest forever. Like, I've seen plenty of shows that I am not a fan of, that I acknowledge have hot characters in it. Like, really hot characters. But that doesn't mean I like the show just because the characters are hot. So Val May is not gonna, like, hold my attention in this forever. And just characters in general, even outside of being hot, like characters I just really enjoy and like. It's like that's not gonna hold my interest forever. Certain story elements and plot points, it's like it doesn't help when the rest of the story and plot is weak. It's like these little breadcrumbs of things. I need more. I need more than little breadcrumbs. I need the whole ass loaf. Give me that loaf. Not the crumbs. Breadcrumbs aren't helping me. Um, I'm hungry for more. And I don't feel like it's giving me that. And the season is probably going to end off on something big, I'm sure, but like I said, I'm finding myself disinterested. And there's only a couple real options left at this point. Either either I just kind of push myself through and get through these last episodes and just maybe come back to season 2 after a while. Or option 2 is I rush myself through these last episodes, doing like 2 or so episodes per video after this, which would be 2 per 2 more videos, or even if I did even more than that. But the point is, doing more episodes per video, rushing through it, getting through it faster to get done with it. Or I would have to either put it on hold again, which I don't like doing when it's like this close to the end, or drop it. These are like the only options here. Because the way things are going, I'm not enjoying watching this anymore. And that's getting more apparent each and every episode. Like I said, there's certain aspects of each episode that I enjoy. There's certain things, certain characters, certain plot points. But overall, the story feels like it's meandering in such a boring ass way. And it's really disappointing because, like I said, it did really hook me in at the beginning. And I'm not just talking episode 1, though it did hook me in with episode 1. But I'm talking like the early episodes. But then it just started like... It just never really became anything more. it became very stagnant and boring. And I don't want that. That's not what I'm looking for with any reaction on this channel. I want myself to be entertained. I want you guys to be entertained. And when a show is this stagnant for me, I feel like that's just not happening. Because it's like it's going to stagnate my reactions to the episodes as well. Not just like my thoughts on them, but my reactions are going to droop as well, and that's never good. So those are some noisy ass birds out there. So I really have to figure out what we're doing after this episode. I feel like this episode is going to have to give me like a feeling for what we have to or what I'm going to do here. Cuz I think I'm breaking it down to honestly at this point two options. I think there's only two options that is reasonable at this point. The first option is the one where I rush through it, which means like next week I would do like maybe 10 and 11 and then 12 and 13 the week after. Or maybe I rush through just the entire rest of it in one go. One of those two. But the second option is dropping it. And I really don't want to do that this close to the end. I mean, it would be worse to put it on break again this close to the end. But I also don't want to drop it this close to the end. But this episode, I feel like needs to determine this. If I feel like just entirely apathetic towards this show like I have been after this episode, even if there were certain elements in it that I did enjoy, I feel like there's no point in continuing. It's like, why force myself to get through the rest of it if it's just giving me this kind of apathy, if it's giving me this kind of disinterest? Again, I really hate to be saying all of this, and I'm sorry for these pre-thoughts being so long, just ranting about this. But it's like this show is just like, it's not even going downhill. That's the problem. If it was going downhill, then at least it would be easier to make a decision. It's stagnated. It's just completely like frozen in quality, and it's not doing anything to change that. And the problem is it's stagnated kind of just in the middle. Like if it stagnated at the top and it was like just top quality each and every episode, that would be one thing. It's like, okay, stay there. That's great. But no, it's like stagnated kind of in the middle. Like early on, I would call this like an 8 out of 10 series. Now, maybe a 6. And that's better than complete mid, but not by much. So this episode, I feel needs to impress me or do something. It just needs to do something. It needs to like actually do something. I don't know how else to put it. It needs to make some kind of progress or do like some kind of story thing that makes me invested again. And I really don't want to drop this. I really don't. But I will if it gives me the reason to. So, I guess we'll see. But there is plenty of other stuff on this channel that I'm not so conflicted with. Because we do 2 series reactions every day, Monday through Friday specifically. And on Mondays, we also do YouTube reactions. We are also starting this week with Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. That will be posted every Tuesday and Thursday, probably 20 to 30-minute episodes each time. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Gonna be a great time. We also do movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. Um, yeah, just I record them during the week, put them up on the weekend, and they're almost always donation rewards. Just like the YouTube stuff is almost always donation rewards. There are some random exceptions here and there, but for the most part, they are. On top of that, we do have occasional other videos such as AMVs or countdown lists, but those come up kind of whenever. There's no real set day or time or just dates in general for them. They're not on the schedule, they just get put up whenever I end up even getting to them. So, yeah, as you can see, we have a lot going on the schedule, and with the schedule consistently changing, rearranging, new stuff being added, stuff being taken off, stuff switching up, going on break, there's always something for everyone. A lot of stuff on the channel, a lot of great things to look forward to. So, yeah, things are going to be pretty exciting in that regard. So, all of that being said, I think it's about time we get on with this and see what we have in store with this episode. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and we redirect the reactions because of YouTube copyright shit. I know a lot of people like to see the reactions on YouTube themselves. You don't want to follow a link, but just to be protected from copyright stuff on YouTube, we play it safe here. Just so I can continue getting all of these reactions out to y'all without having to worry about, the channel getting taken down. Don't want any strikes. So, like I said, follow the link down in the description below to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, as always. And for now, I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, here's the thing. This is the first of a multi-parter. We knew this. The episode title showed that as first phase or whatever. Phase 1, something like that. So we knew that going in. This feels no different than any other story in this. This feels no different. This absolutely feels just like another random story that isn't going to have any real impact, any real, kind of importance, I guess you could say, overall. Now, I'm not even saying it won't. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like it is going to. It feels like just a random side story, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, it's just it just feels random. And that's not helped by the fact that, like, the first so long of the episode was like a beach episode kind of thing, and it felt completely random to add that in. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the idea of, like, showing that these characters are, like, having some downtime, just enjoying life and stuff. But there's ways to do that without making it seem like just random fan service for the sake of random fan service. I've talked before at length in various videos about how fan service can be done right when it serves the story and whatnot. If you wanted to show the characters having downtime before something big starts to go down, it should be an entire episode, for one. And for two, it can't be this entirely random. You can include fan service in that, in a downtime episode. But it is so excessively random here. And the problem is, again, there wasn't enough of it. And I'm not just saying that because I wanted to see more of Valmet in her swimsuit. Though I did want to see more of that. I won't lie. I'm saying that because, again, if you're going to have a calm before the storm, like before the final few episodes of your season, you really have to make that a full episode. They could have had an entire episode about not just the beach stuff, but about them kind of just learning about each other. Talking and maybe Yona getting to know the other crew members a little more. Having some decompression time. Maybe talking about like some mission related stuff, but not actually starting it yet. The fact that half of this episode was the actual mission took away from the stuff that wasn't. It took away from the decompression and didn't allow it to have the time it needed to, well, decompress before things went off the rails. And I don't know if, like, this is how it was done in the original manga or whatever, but if it was, they honestly should have added onto it. A lot of people are like, so against that concept. It's like, oh, you can't add stuff in. You can't add in filler. You have to, like, have the anime fully capture the mangaka's original idea, like, straight up. It's like, no, you don't. Shut up. You don't know anything about adapting works. When you adapt a work, you have to change certain things. You have to stretch certain things out because it doesn't work in animation if you don't. And I don't know if that was a thing in the manga. Hell, the entire beach scene could have not even been in the manga for all I know. That could have been added in. But again, if that was completely added in, you should have just made an entire episode with the decompression thing, instead of just one, like, small scene that really didn't amount to anything besides fan service. The fan service was nice, don't get me wrong. A lot of hot people there, not just Coco and Valmet, but some of the guys too. It was very nice to see, but at the same time, it was random. It felt like just randomly added fan service because, oh, it's anime, we have to add in fan service. That's what it felt like. And so it didn't amount to anything. It was pointless. It didn't add anything to the characters or the story or anything. It was just pure fan service, pure sex appeal. And I don't like that. That's not how you do fan service. Again, it is definitely appealing. It is nice to see. It's hot. But that's not how you do fan service. It doesn't work. And then we go into something that's this serious and intense. Like, we're sneaking these doctors into a country that's being run by this ruthless, evil, vile person. And they're supposed to be, helping the people he's shooting, the people he's, killing and fucking up and injuring. You sneak them in to this volatile situation, and then this fucking dumbass comes out of the plane, and you give shit away before he even does. You're, like, giving shit away by yelling, like, grunting out, like, what the fuck are you doing out here? It's like, you should not have said that, even though, like, again, he gave himself away anyway afterwards by telling the fucking dude who he is. He's a fucking dumbass. It's like, seriously, that actually irritated me a little. It's like, if he had been, like, in there and saying, like, oh, I'm gonna go out there, but had been held back, like, had been, like, the others had, like, managed to talk him out of it, I would have been fine with that. But, like, he had no reason to believe he could do this. Like, he could talk through the things with this guy. He had every reason to believe he couldn't. This dude was just a fucking dumbass. It's his own goddamn fault he got shot. And I mean, I'm not taking away the blame from, the shooter, from this Baldrag guy who's, again, a fucking piece of shit. He's definitely at fault too, but this would not have happened if the dumbass didn't go out there. He did this to himself. There was absolutely 0% of a chance that this dude was going to listen to him. And this guy should have known that. It's annoying, honestly. It's really irritating. And then the episode just kind of, like, really suddenly cuts after, like, a shootout cliffhanger. Coco commanding them to just take out Baldrag's, militia. And it's like, oh, it was just going to have a really sudden cut there. To have, the big cliffhanger moment, the big, like, what happened? We didn't actually see who got shot and everything. We're going to keep you in suspense. And it's like, we know our main characters aren't going to die. There's no actual fucking suspense here. Plus, you literally saw the militia dude's, like, beret fly off and with the blood splatter all around it. It's like, come on. Why are you trying to keep this, like it's some kind of big surprise as to what's going to happen? There's also this girl doctor who was there on the plane as well, who, like, Yona was, like, talking to. And it felt like it was trying to, like, make some kind of connection there, but I don't fucking know what it was trying to do with that. Because it felt random. It's like, why are they discussing this all? Like, what is going on here? Is it just for the line that she's seen, like, multiple child soldiers and all in this kind of work and everything? Was that all that scene was for? Because it just felt kind of, like, random. Why are they forming this connection? What is going on here? And then, like I said at the beginning of the episode, like, with the beach stuff, Yona was also just expositing things we already knew. And it's just like, we know this. Why are you acting as if we don't know this? And I'm just like, oh my god. And obviously it's not like an actual issue, like with the skirt color and everything. That was more like just, I don't think that looks good. That's not a real issue with the show, but But this episode kind of perfectly expresses what I was talking about in the pre-thoughts. On how there are certain elements in this episode that I do like. And that I feel like are interesting. And I'm not just talking about Valmet in a swimsuit. Though, yeah, I do like that. No, but there's certain aspects with, like, the plot part of this. And with Yona learning about the crew. I would have loved to see more of that. But, like, with this entire mission and everything, with Baldrag and all, it's like there's interesting aspects to this. But at the same time, like, you could almost say it kind of ruins itself. It kind of ruins itself with all of the poor handling of all of this. And, like, you could say, like, oh, the doctor going out there being stupid, it's like that's the point and everything. It's like, that doesn't make this any better. It's just as unenjoyable, even if it's intentional. Even if he's supposed to be intentionally stupid here, like, that's the point, doesn't make it any better. Doesn't fix the problem. It just means that the writer knew what they were doing. And that almost kind of makes it worse. It's just like these issues compound to make this like irritating for me. And the thing is, not every episode has been like this. Like I said in the pre-thoughts, this has been something that's been growing, something that's been getting more and more noticeable each time. Um, this episode, I think, just really was not good. And I can't even say that about most of the episodes. Because it's just like little things that are compounding and adding to it over time with most episodes. With this, it's like this just was not a good episode. It was poorly paced and handled. The decompression they tried to have just did not work because it was too short. The story they went into after was way too intense to come off of after that little bit of a decompression. And things were just it wasn't paced well, it wasn't written well, it wasn't handled well. It wasn't good, even from just an enjoyability standpoint. There are certain aspects and there are certain little plot points that I did enjoy and that do interest me, but overall, like this is probably one of the worst, if not the worst episode of the series so far. And that comes at really bad timing. Because, like I said in the pre thoughts, I've been trying to determine what to do next. And I kind of narrowed it down to either kind of like rush my way through the rest of the episodes or drop it. And I was going to base my decision off of what I felt this episode did and how much hope it gave me. This episode honestly destroyed my hope in this series. And on top of it, I've now seen the one thing that got me into this series in the first place. So if you think about that little irony, it's like, what point do I have in continuing? Like, I'm being completely serious here too, though. Like, I genuinely don't see a point in continuing. And it's not just because I've seen what got me interested in the series. It's because I'm just so let down with this episode. And again, this has been building for a little while, and it definitely over this past week. I'm just not interested anymore. I just don't care anymore. As much as I like certain things about this, it's overall just... It just doesn't really... It's not really hitting right for me. And it sucks because there is a lot of things that I do enjoy, but when things start adding up and start, like, getting to a point where I'm just not enjoying it anymore, and it's getting progressively more and more unenjoyable and uninteresting, and then you give me an episode that I think is pretty bad, it's like, yeah, that's going to kind of deflate my entire interest in this series. That's going to completely destroy any desire I have to continue. And that's, I kind of always use those kind of terms for this. I always kind of talk about how it's all about my desire to continue reacting to it, my investment in continuing to see where this series goes. That's important to me because it's not just about how the series is, it's about how I feel about watching it, or especially reacting to it. Which, as I've said, is very different than watching things on my own time. Reacting, I need to put a lot more effort into that. So it's like having that motivation to continue on is important. More important than, honestly, my thoughts on the show's overall quality. Because the show can be great, but I might not have any interest in reacting to it. The show could be, honestly, kind of terrible, and I might really love to react to it. That could also be the case. And in this situation, this show is okay. Overall, it's okay. I'd even say it's good. Like I said, 6 out of 10, which is good. It's above average, it's above mid, but not by much. Not by much. And honestly, it just feels like it's not doing enough for me, and not doing the right things for me to continue to have an interest in reacting to it. And when I started today, I honestly didn't expect this was going to happen. I knew I had been feeling these thoughts. I knew what I was going to say here, but I thought it was going to prove me wrong, or at least keep my interest enough. I wasn't expecting an episode to just suddenly be bad, like actively bad, in my opinion. So this was unexpected, and I don't entirely know what I'm going to do now, because this means that I have to choose a replacement series. And since I hadn't had this, pre-planned and everything, I don't know what I'm going to choose, because this is a first impression. I have to take that into account. This is a first impression series, and that is a big determination as to what I'm going to choose here. I'm bringing up my document right now, because that has my list of everything for first impression stuff that I can go back to. Now, there's various things that I've been thinking about returning to, and some things that I want to wait a little longer on. For example, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur Season 2, I want to wait a little more on before I get back to. I'm not ready to get back to that right now. And then there's other stuff that I'm not sure about yet. And again, this kind of came, if I'm being completely honest, almost out of nowhere. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't actually expecting to have to make this decision right now. So there's a few various things, but I think there's been one that I've been kind of itching to get back to for a little bit. And I think it's a good decision because one of my other first impression slots was, it was between this show and another, and it went to the other, which was Delicious in Dungeon. So this first impression slot is going to get what I passed on for Delicious in Dungeon. And to put it simply, the kind of debate I was having over which one I would go with for that other slot was all about elf girls. So, yeah, that should give you your hint. But just to make it even more clear, just to basically say it, and not even basically, I'm just saying it. It's Frieren. We're getting back to Frieren. That is going to replace this. I think it's just the best decision right now because, like I said, that was kind of the backup, you could say, for what was already going to be in that spot that Delicious in Dungeon is in on Mondays. So that means I'm going to have to do some editing in terms of the channel banner and the schedule banner and stuff. I'm probably going to put up another schedule update video on Thursday because I'm already going to be taking a break after this week's episode of Undead Unlocked. So I'll probably make a more formal announcement of this being replaced then. But like I said, I want to apologize if anyone was into this and into these reactions. I don't know if anyone ever was. Most of my reactions don't get a lot of views, to be fair, but so I don't know. I don't know. Plus, a lot of people might view it and just never watch the redirect, so I don't know how many people have actually seen the reaction. So it's a lot of things there. I don't know. Either way, the point is, yeah, Freeman will be replacing Jormungand starting next week. It sucks, but after this episode, I don't have a desire to continue. My desire's been going downhill as it was. I just have been losing interest in this progressively more and more. And over this past week, it became a lot more apparent. So this episode was kind of the make or break point. It sucks to drop it with only 4 more episodes left after this. But it's like, hey, for some shows, that's like half a season, or even most of a season. Like some shows nowadays only have 6 episodes, and it's like, oh, that's most of the season. Some shows have 8 episodes, and that's like half of the season. So 4 episodes, that's still quite a bit, and it's helping me cope with that a little bit. But it's like, yeah, it's just, I can't motivate myself to continue after an episode this bad, and after my motivation had already dropped quite low, so. As much as I loved the fan service with Valmet and even Coco and some of the guys, whose names I always have trouble remembering because, let's be honest, they don't matter. um, as much as I enjoyed the fan service, it was completely pointless and not well handled, and nothing in this episode was well handled, let's be honest. I'm just disappointed. It sucks, but there's not really much I can do with it. Maybe I'll eventually end up finishing it on my own time. With me, who knows? We'll see. In the meantime, there's a lot of other stuff on the channel to check out. I mean, Jormungand's going to be getting replaced, but as you can see, we have a lot of other stuff Monday through Friday, 2 series reactions each day. On Mondays, we also do YouTube content, which are pretty much always donation rewards. And we also have movie reactions, which are also pretty much always donation rewards every Saturday and Sunday. They're recorded during the week, uploaded during the weekends. We also have Spider-Man 2 starting this week. This will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Episodes will be about 20 to 30 minutes long each time. And yeah, I'm very excited for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, so a lot of other content, a lot of things to look forward to. Hope you find something to enjoy. I know there's plenty on the schedule that I am very much enjoying right now. So all of that being said, thank you as always so much for tuning in. And I apologize again. I hope you've enjoyed this reaction series for as long as it's gone on, but I think I'm done with it at this point. So for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.